Today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Brilliant. Do you guys like learning? Do you guys like learning to be fun and easy and actually effective? Well, that's what our sponsor today is here for, Brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. All the content on Brilliant is crafted by an award-winning team of teachers, researchers, and professionals from MIT, Caltech, Microsoft, Google, and plenty of respected establishments. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, learn a powerful habit every single day where you can just sit and learn. Whether it's for personal growth or just in a professional environment if you need to pick up some new skills. Brilliant helps you build some real knowledge in minutes a day. The knowledge that I care about the most out of it is learning how data works, exploring it visually. I also like looking at code, and again, because of recent AI developments, I love looking at how things like LLMs actually work. All topics that are covered in Brilliant. So whether you're a very new learner, very new, or you're in the most advanced section, there's always something new to pick up. Head on over to brilliant.org/SOG and try it free for a full 30 days. And also get 20% off an annual subscription, a premium subscription. That said, let's get to the video. Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I want you guys to join me on a relaxing journey where we actually take a look at some furry L's today. Now, in the last month, I made a lot of, furry videos. That came out really weird. I made some furry videos that actually got a fair bit of attention. It seems like the community enjoys a good furry story. So I talked about furries effectively, getting into Disney and, leaking a lot of their big projects. I talked about furries hacking a government, a possible think tank and getting information on something known as Project 2025. And, furries, they took a lot of W's. And let me tell you something about, the furry community, especially when it comes to computer hacking and cybersecurity. There's a lot of people that you might know working in a IT environment that probably are wearing fursuits. They get paid really well, and fursuits cost a fair bit of money to buy, okay? That's generally the correlation to have right there. But ladies and gentlemen, in the last 2 days, the community has taken a pretty big L in terms of having one of the largest websites, Fur Affinity, that first started itself around 19 years ago. To give you an idea, this is the largest community for furries, and it is by far one of the oldest. Founded in January 16, 2005, and later acquired by IMVU, yes, that 3D virtual space meeting ground that I once played on this channel probably over like 6 years ago. Yeah, they are effectively one and the same. From what I understand, IMVU has acquired them and pretty much turned some aspects of their game into furry meeting grounds, okay? IMVU is effectively just VR chat before VR chat was really a thing. So how did this nightmare actually begin, ladies and gentlemen? Well, one day people had woken up to see Fur Affinity's account here on social media platform X effectively dropped some tweets that weren't exactly taken too well. Furries get mogged. Fist emoji, crying emoji, disgusting freaks. You'll get what you deserve soon. Dragoneer was a PDF file, as some would say here. Now, Dragoneer was the former owner of Fur Affinity, one of the site runners, and unfortunately, Dragoneer actually ended up passing away. As of August 6th, Dragoneer had actually ended up passing away. Basically, the community ended up coming out and saying that it just basically happened out of nowhere, and Dragoneer's final actual discussions in July ended up actually going him and basically telling people about how much it had ended up costing him. Now, obviously, Dragoneer, who was posting around the end of July, basically showcased how much he ended up actually having to pay. And it was somewhere around, paying $25,224. And of course, the expected prepay amount is literally that much. So obviously, when he was basically asked about this and talked about this appointment that he wanted to go to, it wasn't really planned very well. What you have is too serious for us to treat right away. I'm going to have to be put under anesthesia for a full biopsy. This shit is far more serious than I'd hoped. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. And of course, the further they go up into it, the more they talk about this situation, the more they discuss that following appointments were around $1,600-ish, okay? And of course, when he was coughing for 4 straight hours, couldn't sleep, lungs were effectively going to eat me, and of course, when the hospital had apparently called him and asked, hey, can you come in right now and see if you qualify for Medicaid? He said, no, too sick. Okay, well, you're being uncooperative, so we're going to close your account and to see if you qualify for financial assistance. So obviously, Fur Affinity was going through a bit of a mourning period because of this whole situation. Now, as of a couple days ago, a day or two really ago, urgent domain hijacking attempt. It appears someone is trying to redirect our domain to a site that is not associated with Fur Affinity. This could lead to a phishing page that mimics our website in appearance. Please avoid visiting our URL or interacting with the website until we provide further updates. So while they said the personal info and everything remained secure, the best way to describe what was effectively happening was they were being domain hijacked, meaning that somebody was just redirecting people to a fake version of their website, or not even their website at all, for nefarious reasons. So where did some of the redirects start to go? Well, for one case, the redirect actually ended up going to one of these Fox News articles where they were talking about, a furry party and, actual, allegations of abuse. So clearly the person hacking Fur Affinity did not exactly like these people whatsoever. That wasn't necessarily a shock at all. The other website that basically the hacker was redirecting them to was a site known as the Kiwi Farms, a prominent gossip website on the internet. Now, of course, on Kiwi Farms, even these guys ended up going out and saying, whoa, hold on, we're not responsible for this hack whatsoever. On their actual banner page, they said, attention, furries! The administration of this website has no affiliation with the hackers who have redirected Fur Affinity to the Kiwi Farms. This is a joke at both of our expense. So clearly, both Fire and Water Nation were basically at odds. There was actually no crazy hack going from them. And whoever this third party was pitting two organizations against each other. Now, because of the size of the Fur Affinity community, it apparently led to one of the largest days of activity that Kiwi Farms had actually experienced. I think it ended up being around like somewhere of 10,000 users at its peak, which is insane for a website that I believe is predominantly hosted now on the dark web and with a few ClearNet mirrors. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, what is a domain phishing attack? This is something that I kind of wanted to talk about because it's something that can be either really nefarious or it can be something that can be very lightheaded. So the way that a DNS hijacking or a domain hijacking works is you have to understand what a DNS is. A DNS, also known as a domain name system, is effectively like walking into a library, okay? The best example that I can give you is imagine if you walked into your local library. You wanted to get a specific book about, I don't know, the history of cars. So you go to your library and you tell them, I want this book, The History of Cars by so-and-so author. Now, what the librarian does is they take the name that you provided and they basically look through their little system and they find the book by its Dewey Decimal number or its code or specific barcode number, whatever, right? ISBN number, whatever you want to call it. See, you're not going to know it by that number, right? Now I want you to think of that book number as an IP address for computers. So what has effectively gone on is what the actual hacker did was they basically got to the DNS, they got to their domain registration, and they basically started changing that, phone, that ISBN number, that IP address to other websites like Fox News, like that Kiwi Farms website, just so that they could keep redirecting. Now, there are two types of domain hijacks, okay? There's legal hijacking and then there's illegal hijacking. So to give you an example of like what I would consider like a legal hijack is the domain address supermario.com. Now, if you go to your website right here, if you go to your web browser, you type in supermario.com, it connects to the DNS and redirects you to mario.nintendo.com. Now, the supermario.com domain ended up actually being grabbed by Nintendo around September 28, 2011. Basically, up until that point, people who visited supermario.com were effectively going to a website that they were playing free versions of Mario games on. Now, of course, if you go to sites like supermario.net, for instance, right, which is another domain, this takes you to an actual place where you can play those Super Mario games within your actual web browser. Now, again, Nintendo probably doesn't appreciate this, but they basically grab these domains, they put them into a registration, and they drag them to the right place. So what'll happen is, if you don't register your domain address, somebody can grab your domain and basically have it redirect anywhere. And because we don't live in a world of crazy internet police and NetWatch, there's not really a lot of laws at times that can just grab these things for you. If somebody has your domain address, they might be able to keep it depending on the jurisdiction that they might be in. If they live in your country, for instance, like the United States, I believe they can use things like trademark laws or copyright laws in order to snatch and grab domains. Sometimes a domain is so valuable that somebody might consider paying $1 million for it, okay? Which we saw the absurd amount that was paid by somebody who had invented that friend digital assistant gadget, right? So yeah, that's where domains are at. But in this situation, it was highly illegal. So let me explain just exactly what had happened from their end. One of the posts at the Fur Affinity account, when it was hacked, actually made the post, "The fox goes moo." Now this is actually in reference to a piece of comment code that Fur Affinity had in their actual website's source code for a little bit of time. But it led to this Solana coin known as Felix on a website infamously known as Pump.fun. Now, for anybody that doesn't know Pump.fun, what you're seeing over here is a new coin being generated every single second. So every time you see this yellow little like blurb, this is a new coin that somebody just launched right now. Now, the reason I'm blurring this is because honestly, I don't know. It's moving so fast that I'm just trying to make sure nothing illegal is shown. And obviously, against YouTube's terms of service, I just saw a dong, okay? So obviously people are just making these coins and people are jumping in. And if you just click on any of these coins right specifically, for instance, this, I'm actually trying to click on the Wukong coin. You can see that it's going all the way to the top, all the way up there. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, it probably will just crash all the way to the bottom. In fact, we'll just leave this available, so by the end of the video, we'll see if people are actually winning on that specific Wukong token, okay? They probably won't, but I'll leave it there. Now, obviously, the people investing into that Felix token, they lost money, okay? If you actually happen to jump in, you're a complete idiot. Now, of course, it wasn't just the people that were being shilled that token. Apparently, allegedly, it was also the hacker himself or herself losing $300,000 apparently in this situation. So what the hacker did was apparently to post some crazy own on somebody making fun of him on the internet, they post this little image right here, where allegedly they showcase a crypto wallet that contains $15.4 million that apparently lost $300,000 when they shilled this specific token scam. Now, I'm going to call a little shenaniganders on this because I think $300,000 is actually an insane amount of money to be losing on some crazy pump that you launched. But this was promptly deleted right after because people were actually making fun of the hacker for losing over $250,000. Now, the other thing about this is, obviously, this is where we get into unverifiable stuff because clearly there is no cryptocurrency wallet address that is provided for us to throw into a blockchain analysis tool and see if there's actually any real money lost. Honestly, it could probably just be Inspect Element, but again, everyone involved in the story is goddamn really stupid, okay? And honestly, there's a lot of fun to be made in this situation. Now, to go back to how this had happened, the Fur Affinity team, once they actually got control of their social medias, decided to say the reason Fur Affinity went offline around 12:48 a.m. is due to somebody hijacking our account with NetSol Cares. So NetSol Cares was basically their, I believe, their DNS or their domain registrar. And what they had said was, we worked quickly to correct this situation. So while they were trying to do it, this is where it gets really messed up. Basically, the customer support for NetSol Cares stated that they basically can't lock or freeze the account, and you'd have to wait 24 to 48 hours for proper assistance. And while they contacted them multiple times expressing urgency, they've responded saying that there's literally nothing that they can do. Even though, they literally have stated that even though they've literally been proven by the actual, Fur Affinity staff, that without a doubt, that they were the actual owner and the account had actually been hijacked. Now, they're not kidding when they're saying this is a serious security issue. So to go back to how scary a domain, registrar hack can be, a domain redirect hack, is that it can be either, really scary or it can be, really simple. When it's simple, it's, somebody who hacks your domain and redirects it to something like meatspin.com. So, standard shock site. It's not the end of the world. Where it gets really scary is, imagine for a minute if somebody hacked google.com's domain, right? It's probably pretty unlikely because Google would obviously get their hands on that pretty quickly, but bear with me for a second. If somebody got access to google.com and all of a sudden they redirected the login page from Google to an unofficial phishing site, right? So on the surface, it looks exactly identical to Google's actual login, page. But the added caveat is it's not. So when you enter your username and your password, you're indirectly sending those specific pieces of information to somebody else's server and somebody else's registry or database. So then they amalgamate a whole bunch of information that they can just use against you. Look, a lot of people in the world share their usernames, which usually are emails, and passwords. There's actually a lot of similarities. Trust me, there's people that still will not use, password managers, even though they probably should. So generally, somebody could hack the Fur Affinity site, redirect logins, maybe to like a fake store page or, a fake login page, grab all of those, pieces of information and start basically using them. When you deal with one of the largest communities of people in the world, there's a lot of sensitive information you can get. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you is basically how easy it is. And I want to show you the perspective of what a hacker sees when they actually, inject a domain hack. So here I've actually got Kali Linux right here, and I'm going to fire up something known as the social, social engineering toolkit. So by basically opening up the SE toolkit over here, I'm going to just show you how this entire situation would work and exactly what to watch out for to prevent yourself from being attacked. So for the sake of obviously not showing you a step-by-step tutorial, I've already built this sort of SE toolkit, hack that's ready to go. So basically by operating and opening up a quick browser, now again, this is running in a virtualized environment, I'm going to connect to the actual IP address. So first off, I gotta get the IP address for this specific attack. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in IP-ADDR, and what it is this 10.211.510 address. Now imagine if that was just a domain address. So obviously one of the things that you have to also understand is while it's not secure, the actual information you're providing is not encrypted or covered by any form of security whatsoever. So if I type in, username, for instance, and then I type in password 123, you'll see that it looks like a traditional password screen. So the moment I hit sign in, it redirects me to x.com. So if this was actually a legitimate page, I would have just been logged in. Now, what the hacker sees over here is something really scary. So for one, they figured out when you've connected, so they have a rough time frame, and it says, we got a hit. So right over here, it says the possible username field is, again, username. The possible field is password 123. And of course, you've got authenticity tokens and whatnot also given over here. So you can just leave a website like this running, and it will just keep gathering information. And once you've generated a report, you can share this information with people in a data leak, or you can use it for nefarious reasons. And I would not recommend you do that because that would be highly illegal. But this is a prime example to show you what it looks like from an actual, hacker's perspective who's basically setting up a phishing site to gather information. So they're not joking when they say it's a serious security issue. And it's one of the reasons why you should be very cautious when you go to any website and you enter information. You got to make sure that your information is going through, secure encryption, and you got to make sure your domain is usually a right domain. Again, this could have happened to anybody. The fact that it happened to Fur Affinity is just kind of like, one of those things that people on the surface level can laugh at, but to be honest, this could be any website. It could be far more serious than this, and it's something you should absolutely take very carefully. Be very mindful of what domain is on your actual URL bar when you're entering sensitive information on the internet. Refusal to take the issue seriously has caused undue stress and serious misinformation to spread, which is true. We need action now to get the domain back in our control. It's unacceptable that customer support at NetSol Cares can identify a hijack but not stop or freeze the account immediately, which is true. If you know the accounts have been hijacked, why not just freeze every single thing right there and then, preventing the hacker from redirecting people to potentially malicious websites, right? That's kind of a general thing that they should have done. The fact that they didn't shows that there is some serious stupidity going on at that specific branch. And Fur Affinity had a fair amount of people visiting their website. At one point, you're looking at around 19.1 million total visits in about 1 month, which again is no small amount, no small level of impressions. The people sharing information, logging in, and exchanging stuff is absolutely, tantamount. And it's something that, clearly should have been addressed really quickly by this domain registration, by the people that they, went to. Now, to this day, Fur Affinity's website is still actually offline. So while they say they'll return shortly, it's probably going to be a bit before they actually decide to come back full force to the website. Obviously, they're still reeling in with the death of one of their site, former owners. And obviously, they're still reeling in from a hack that probably is still ongoing to some capacity. So around yesterday afternoon, one of the actual administrators said that after meeting for several hours with Network Solutions, they finally agreed to our demands to lock our accounts. Could you just imagine having to demand them to just lock down your actual hacked account, your hijacked system? Well, apparently what they said was the bad actor was actually in control of their domain between Tuesday and Wednesday. So basically, in the course of a day, they redirected their traffic to other websites and even set up an email server to receive any emails that were sent to the @furaffinity.net accounts. So basically, if you send any of those emails to this person, and if they contain sensitive information, then you might want to start securing your actual information because that person has read these specific emails. But of course, one of the things beyond they also wanted to say was that the web server was never actually compromised. Remember, this was a domain hijack, not a hack on the actual Fur Affinity core servers. So the bad actor never actually had access to private information unless that information was phished by them or grabbed by any email server over here, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, to go down here, one of the things they did actually say was thankfully, because the hacker actually started changing the handle on X from Fur Affinity to other stuff, one of the users, Wanos, also known as Kernel Junkie, jumped in and secured personal accounts and addresses and handles to prevent a lot of misinformation from possibly spreading. And at this point, while there's no way to verify that these accusations are accurate, because some people have apparently identified this individual, they'll continue to share everything they have with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And that's what they should be doing, because, ladies and gentlemen, again, this could have been a much, much more devastating hack if this person actually wanted to phish for critical information that they could have then therefore used on other websites. So this is something that you have to really watch out for. And I think what happened with Fur Affinity is something that could easily have happened to any other website. And you really got to worry about where you're putting your information. So there's a few things to watch out for. Obviously, I don't want you to be fearful of the internet, but I think this kind of stuff is a good wake-up call for people to learn, just, again, what happens during a hack like this. Even if servers aren't hacked, if your domain is hijacked, that can be a serious issue. And if somebody hijacks your domain and makes it look nearly identical, that's an absolute prime way to phish for sensitive information. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much came to the end. And obviously, towards the last couple hours, one of the actual, staff on the website that said, great, but yeah, that's pretty much the story of how one of the largest furry communities ended up actually getting hacked by, literally a goddamn troll. And that troll, apparently, if true, also was taking a massive L. Literal L's all around. We're talking a $300,000 L. One that I personally think is a little too high to be calculating. I think there was some speculation that apparently the domain ownership, the domain hosting fees, ended up triggering into this person's account, which still wouldn't make sense. Those are still incredibly high domain fees. And even if that was the case, I'm pretty sure there would be some stopgaps. Nobody would be linking their bank account or crypto wallet or anything of that sort to an auto pay for a hack that they're performing. So there's still a few questions that remain to be answered. But yeah, one of the largest furry communities in the world literally just got hacked. And while it was a weird couple days, definitely seeing them post on social media about the wildest stuff out there, a lot of anti-furry stuff. It was touch and go for a bit, but the community ended up getting their stuff back. And obviously, one of the motives was for Dragoneer. Now, Dragoneer is kind of a controversial figure in terms of the furry community, in terms of some of the stuff that they've said. So a few emails that ended up being showed up here, which again, I can't confirm the validity of these emails because I haven't refreshed them from a server myself. But Dragoneer had apparently sent to another user, the anti-zoo crowd is trying to take you down. Just a warning to keep RL whatever off Fur Affinity. I know you're into it, but we have a don't ask, don't tell thing around about it unless it's brought into the site. So yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, zoo is zoophilia, which is obviously relations with an animal, which underneath, I believe, most world governments is highly illegal. Okay, contrary to popular belief, an animal cannot give consent. I am very much against this, and I think most furries are against this. To be honest with you, okay, it is disgusting behavior. And of course, Dragoneer to another user said, "Hold on." The subtitle for this email, zoos. We're not banning people just for being a zoo. Being a zoo is fine. We're banning people who admit to engaging with acts with pets, okay, which is legal in almost every state. So I guess non-acting zoos are okay, right? Which is still pretty disgusting to me. Other than admissions to real life, is there anything else I should know before mentioning zoo stuff? Yeah, when you read emails like this, it is gross. It is truly disgusting. But of course, on DeviantArt, there were a few other users, one known as Tim Scorpion, who ended up posting 4 grave sins from Dragoneer, the former owner, which, again, depending on how you want to take this, a lot of it is, posts on other websites where they talk about, literally hiring a notorious hacker onto the Fur Affinity staff who was responsible for basically attacking Minecraft servers at the time, which, in my opinion, you should never be hiring anybody that has any form of hacking history. This person, Zidonuke, all right, one of the people in the situation, actually ended up releasing a version of a Minecraft tool which gave backdoor access to other people's servers, and he used to ban administrators from their own servers. Okay, so yeah, he basically became a staff on a forum known as F-List and used their position to read private messages. Yeah, you know those weird, memes that you see of like the TSA agent looking at the security cameras and getting like all the compromising footage of you from like that South Park episode? Yeah, that's kind of the stuff right here. That's why writing private messages on any of these forums is not something that I ever engage in because I know full well that there's definitely some creepy dude reading my shit. But yeah, these are, again, very serious hacking accusations made, and obviously they come with some of these screenshots as well. So this is not something that is super duper small. And of course, other things was not taking proper action, getting bugs fixed on the website, using sock puppets on Fur Affinity to target people and incite trolling and harsh behavior. And unfortunately, hiring somebody that was accused of a very serious crime. So the motive for somebody behind this could have been A, simply financially motivated. Somebody just wanted to hack a website, maybe have people redirect and possibly give up some information that they could have used down the road for financially harming individuals, which is something that I've seen time and time again on the internet when it comes to hacks like this. Or it could literally just be a motivated hack where people just wanted to literally go up against the Fur Affinity site for what their administration had done in the past. Which again, hacks, when it comes to stuff like this, can either be financially motivated or ideologically motivated. But at the end of the day, it was one of the biggest attacks on the furry community. And it's worth noting, it is definitely a piece of internet history, and it's one that I am glad I got a chance to discuss with. Because I think at the end of all this, there's a serious thing to be taken away from all this, right? Is usually when a website gets hacked and their social media channels get grabbed, people wouldn't really have known about this if it wasn't for the Discord administration staff basically warning people. There's a lot of misinformation that floats around. If this person hadn't redirected to the Fox News article or Kiwi Farms, but instead had silently redirected to the same exact website but a phishing address of it, imagine how much login information could have been leaked and how much of that information could have been used in the worst possible ways. So while yes, Fur Affinity did get hacked, thankfully, because of the ideological nature of the hack, it wasn't necessarily something that I believe was designed to grab all this information and use it for the most negative of reasons. That being said though, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.